What's up, everybody? Good afternoon, I guess. It is 12:30. Good afternoon, everybody. How's it going? Welcome to the Apex or the Verified AMA. I'm all out of sorts today. My name is Lawton Ho, your host here with Verified Investing, and I go live every single day that the markets are open, and sometimes when they're not, from 12:30 to 1:15 to answer your questions. I hope you guys have all had a great and wonderful day so far. I don't have your questions open. All right, amazing. Trade management here, chat. Okay, sorry. As always, guys, you can scan this QR code or visit the Verified Investing Home website to tune in and take a listen to watch and submit your questions. Hopefully, you guys are you guys are doing well. Okay. But anyways, guys, hope you're doing well. Okay. I apologize if I did not get to your question yesterday. Hopefully, we can get to some of those questions today. Thank you, as always, for joining me, as always. And if you're here, guys, I just want to take a moment to ask you guys to do me a huge favor. If you could like this and give us a subscription on the Verified Investing YouTube channel. It helps me. And it also helps my overlords, my managers, Gareth, mostly, know that you enjoy this type of content. But yeah, anyways, hope you're doing well. All right, let's hop into it. Sorry, I'm like all out of sorts. CPI data came out today. At first, the markets popped. And then what happened afterwards? Markets kind of pulled back decently. And now they're getting a rally. S&P up 1%. Let's check the Qs. Qs also up 1%. So very interesting to see. Let me share my charts. Let's hop into it. Just throw your questions in, and I will do my best to get to them. Okay, I feel like I'm having a stroke. Okay. Mar says, hey, Lon, what's up? How are you today? I'm good. A little frazzled. My camera wasn't working properly. It's working now. Question, are people completely mad? It looks like a complete out-of-their-mind frenzy. Shouldn't we go down by now? Greetings from Holland, and said the Flying Dutchman. Yeah, I mean, the reality is, right, are the markets overbought? 100% absolutely. Do I think they favor a pullback? 100% absolutely. But does it surprise me that we're going higher? Are people completely mad? Think about it like this. Okay, and let's look back, right? There was an anomaly here. This was Liberation Day, came down significantly. But basically since 2013, we went up in pretty much a straight line on the S&P, up over 100%. Right. And at any point in time, even if you bought right here before this big fall in the S&P, before this 25% pullback, okay, in the S&P, any time that you bought anything pretty much, S&P, Tesla, Nvidia, whatever, like whatever you want, and I know I'm showing the Qs, but like it doesn't matter what you bought. Price eventually went back up, and not only did it go back up, it went even higher, right? It just keeps going higher. Well, if I'm a retail investor, if I don't look at the charts, if I turn off my brain and I just see stock market go up, I press buy, stock market go up, right? Like a caveman, right? Then yeah, it's going, then why wouldn't I keep buying? Why wouldn't I keep buying something that will go up forever? It seemingly go up forever, right? Look at this, S&P. Like this was the one time retail was scared. Retail was so scared. They're like, oh my God, we're going down. That world is going to end, right? But once it start getting back up, starting up back higher, right? People that sold down here, maybe they're FOMOing over here. They're like, oh no, why didn't I just hold it? Why didn't I just hold it? I had so much. Why didn't I just hold it? Well, stock market's going back higher. They're like, okay, I'm going to buy now and I'm not going to sell. I'm not going to get scared because before the same thing happened. Every time there was a down tick, it would rebound. Even when it comes down 20%, it rebounded. So in the same way, the retail in their minds, there's no reason for them to deviate from their strategy, right? There's no reason. If every time something comes down, you buy it, it goes higher eventually. There is no reason for you to change. So now, what will it take for a change? Because this was not just retail. This was a lot of institutions being like, okay, that's really insane. We're putting blanket tariffs, and we're going to put 1,000% tariffs or 100-something% tariffs on this country and this country and this country, right? But tariffs paused, reversed, right? Reversed. Then the market kind of gets some reprieve. Then the markets get a bounce. And then the institution starts buying back, buying back, buying back. And then retail comes in, FOMO, the people that sold at the bottom, buying back, buying back, buying back, buying back. So are people completely mad? No, because I don't think retail looks at this and looks at the overall markets and are thinking to themselves, this looks absolutely overextended. No, they only think that markets, I buy, markets go higher, I sell and take profits. So I don't think they're mad. But I do anticipate a pullback. The question is when, right? The question is when. Everyone wants to know. I want to know. I would love to know when the market's going to pull back, because the market has looked like it's favored a pullback for a long time. But just because it looks like it favors a pullback, and look at this potential parallel channel here on the S&P, just because it favors a pullback doesn't mean it has to. It absolutely does not have to do anything. But anyways, there's enough of my rant on the overall markets. Mars says, but institutions selling big time and insiders as well. They did, but then they bought back. Right. They did. Dean says, hey, great show. Thanks, Dean. Thanks for being here. Brian says, I know you follow stocks closely. It's getting hammered today. What are your thoughts and analysis? Also, the semis are rallying hard here. This feels like a bad sign for any pullback for the S&P and NASDAQ. Would you agree? The S&P and NASDAQ is being propped up pretty much by the semiconductor industry, particularly NVIDIA. And stocks is pretty far low down right now. Right, got as low as 686 today. I actually day traded this, took a profit on it, and I'm in it as again today. My average is currently around $7.01. So I'm 100% in this trade currently already, right? But the question is, like, if the semis are rallying hard, is it bad for the overall markets to get a pullback? Let's take a look at the semis. Let's take a look at those semis. NVIDIA is flat. Is it rallying? Not really. It's flat. AMD's only up slightly, right? Only up slightly. But why is stocks down then? Because there are things like TXN, Texas Instruments. Look at this. NVIDIA is already at all-time highs. It's flat. Despite the semis getting a push today, despite AMD up 1%, despite Texas Instruments being up 5%, NVIDIA is still flat. Now, TXN could go higher. Why? Because they're down. They're down from their highs off of poor earnings, right? AMD, same thing. Way down from its highs. MU, same thing. It's up, but it's still down from its highs. So the main semiconductor, while the main semiconductor that is at its all-time highs is struggling to move higher, while the rest of the things have a good day, and the things that are beaten down are able to get a bounce, I actually think that's bearish for the markets, right? Because if NVIDIA can't go green or decently green on a day where the entire semiconductor sector is pushing up, then when can it go up? Ultimately, everything's going to come down to this day. You can mark this in your calendar. Wednesday, the 27th of August. It's like D-Day. But for NVIDIA, has earnings in 15 days. 15 days. So if it has bad earnings, I believe that stocks and the overall markets will fall. But if it has good earnings, we are likely to see a continued rally. Something that we might see, though, and let's turn to United Airlines to take a look at this. United Airlines was trading insane at all-time highs previously. You saw this rally from the 2024 up 200% into earnings this January. And what happened? It exceeded earnings, had good earnings. It opened up 5% higher. And everyone thought, wow, this thing could go higher. And then what happened? The rug was pulled. Rug pull. Just completely collapses. It's had quite a decent rebound now, but even before Liberation Day, right? Even prior to Liberation Day, it fell 42%. So am I saying NVIDIA is going to fall 42%? No, but it could. All depends on earnings. All right. Vishal says, good morning. I like your analysis. I like your questions. I am long XRP. Could you analyze XRPT? Where could it go and by when? I can't tell you by when, but I could draw this. I think for XRP USDT, you have this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful downsloping trend line right here. That if you can break this downsloping trend line, you're likely to see a price target up here around $3.55, about a 10% move higher. This would be my target for XRP, around $3.55. But yeah, Renica, I think stocks, that's a good buy at 690. I think it likely favors a move higher. It wouldn't surprise me if it got to like 710 today. But if NVIDIA is struggling to get up on a day where the semiconductor as a whole, are pretty much rallying, that's bearish for the markets. But that's just me. And I'll say this, and I'll say it 100 million times again. I've been wrong before, and I will likely be wrong again. 100%. I can only give you the probabilities of what I think is favored to happen. But it's important to do your own research. At the end of the day, I'm just a guy, right? I'm just a guy over here, just like you are at home, doing my best, trying to analyze these same charts and trying to turn a profit, just like you guys are. So, all right, next question. Luis says, Lawton, thanks for doing this. We really appreciate it. Of course. When analyzing fib retracements, how much do you look for? 0.5, 618. Yeah, 0.5 is okay. 786 is or 382 are also good ones. We don't really use the 236. The 382 and the 618 fibs are the ones we use for the most part. My uncle says, what's up, Lawton? How are you? I'm good. How are you? My car is still in the shop, and I am struggling to kind of decide what I want to do. I just got an opportunity to get another car and switch this car, but we'll see. It's a lot of work. Luis says, what are your thoughts on the VIX? Time to buy. Are you considering VIX? Yeah, I think anywhere under $15 is a decent buy on the VIX. Mr. Patel says, could you please check sales for CRM? I'd be happy to. On the weekly chart, it's creating a head and shoulders pattern. Let's take a look. Absolutely. Wow. What a beautiful head and shoulders pattern on CRM. It's actually breaking it. It's actually breaking it on the weekly. Excuse me, on the weekly. Let's go like this. Yeah, I actually love it. Wow, this looks like a great short. Looks great. If we can, but remember, we want to see a close below. See that measured move? That measured move is a fall down 62%. Is CRM going to fall 62%? Unlikely. But will it fall 25, 30%? It could. Just know that because we are in the weekly, this move, if it works, will likely take a longer time to play out because it's on the weekly chart. Additionally, guys, and this is really important here on CRM, here's where I would enter. You can enter on a break, or let's say that CRM comes down, retraces to the neckline, you want to enter here. This neckline is the line in the sand for CRM for this beautiful head and shoulders pattern. Boom, boom, boom. Doesn't get more clear than that. Okay. But we really want to see a weekly close down here. You can also wait for confirmation, but Mar says, did like and do like you, man. Thanks, Mar. Appreciate that, brother. Jeffrey says, hi, Lon. What's up, Jeffrey? There's a lot of J's in your name. Triple J, quadruple J, JJJ Jr., Triple J Jr. Anyways, SBSW broke its parallel channel. Okay, 2 weeks ago. What are the levels for you for both the upside and the downside? For me, if anything, this would look more bearish than anything. Doom, potential head and shoulders. Looks bearish to me. Look at this. Wow, look at that. Head and shoulders pattern there. Let's go like this. Boom. Move down 25% would be that measured move. Now, just remember, this is something that is kind of a thin stock with a lot of gaps. What I would do, again, similar to the other play, I would favor a move down. I would be bearish on this. I'd potentially short it on a break of that trend line or a retrace. However, this is still down significantly from its highs. You're talking down about 57%. So it absolutely could go higher. But the pattern formation it's making is a bearish pattern formation. Of course, it could be negated. So if you wanted to enter this, you would stop out probably above. Look where price went exactly to this high pivot. Basically just under $10. That's where I'd stop out of this trade. Mark says, what do you see in SoundHound? SoundHound, it got up to this pivot high pretty much and pulled back. This could be a decent reversal signal. Here, if it closed here, this would be a topping tail. Yeah, it would be a topping tail. So this is bearish. If it closed here, super bearish for me on SoundHound. Extremely, extremely bearish. Joe Chen says, close all my shorts on S&P, VIX, and NVIDIA. I can't tell you what to do, right? I can't tell you what to do. I can just tell you what the markets favor, right? I think the most important thing, whether it's a trade that you're taking on your own or a trade you're taking under the recommendation of someone else, right? Even me, right? Especially me, like it's important to realize what you're comfortable risking almost, right? If you are saying you're shorting NVIDIA, right? Well, what's your thesis? Why are you shorting NVIDIA? If you see a head and shoulders pattern, then awesome. But if your head and shoulders pattern gets negated, or enter everything with a max loss. For example, for me personally, I'm not comfortable losing any more than $1,000 on a trade. Let's say, for example, if I wasn't comfortable losing more than $1,000 on a trade, I would stop out at that level and I'd re-enter it at a better level, right? But that discipline and risk management strategy is the most important thing while you're trading. You know what I mean? So if Nvidia, I'm looking at Nvidia and I'm telling you that it's bearish because the rest of the semiconductors are moving higher, but Nvidia is struggling to get positive to stay positive, and it's sitting flat. Yeah, I'm bearish on that, right? But look at this. I have a beautiful upsloping trend line. As long as it stays above this upsloping trend line, it's likely to go higher. When it finally breaks this, yes, I anticipate a pullback on Nvidia. But just because a chart favors a move to the downside or upside doesn't mean that it can't, doesn't mean that it has to pull back in any specific amount of time. Look at this move on UAL. UAL moved vertically up, just like I talked about earlier, into earnings 214% over the span of a couple of months, right? Up 200%. So at any point of this in time, when UAL popped up 63% in a month, yeah, I'm anticipating a pullback. Granted, it did give a slight pullback, 7%, but you're expecting more of a pullback considering it was up 26%, right? So yeah, I could short there, right? But if my thesis is, I'm just shorting it because it looks like it's overextended, that's not a good enough reason for me. And if price goes up against you, how long are you going to hold it for, right? How long are you going to hold it for? You have to have a thesis before you enter every single trade. And when that thesis is negated, stop out if you can't find another reason to stay in, right? That's my methodology. That's my reasoning. As far as and look, it continued higher, right? Same thing with the S&P and everything else, right? I'm just using UAL as an example here. Look, it's up here, up 121%. Yeah, it favors a pullback 100%, but when is that pullback going to come? And just kept grinding higher. When is that pullback going to come? Right? So if you had a max loss, right? Like if you took a trade here though, you could have made money. Even if you started shorting it here, you could have made 14%, which is massive, right? But you're probably in a lot of pain. Out of the money, 92%, right? So something you could do is institute a max loss for yourself. But every single trader has to trade differently, right? Not every trader is me. Not every person is the same. So, anyways, let's go to the next question. Riddell says, hi, I would like to hear your projection on Tesla. Tesla, again, look at this. I said it was super bullish. It broke out of this wedge. It retraced to it, just like I said, and bounced back up. There's a beautiful bounce there, basically, on the retrace to that trend line. Bounce up over 1%. So for me, I like the trade. I'm bullish on Tesla, breaking out of this wedge to the upside. But I'd stop out probably on confirmation below here or a close below this gap fill. Sarah says, hi, amazing Lawton. What's up, Sarah? Hope you're doing well. Does Tesla have to close above 811 2025? Yesterday's high in order to confirm? Yes. Yes. It does. Not only does it have to close above, like I want it to cleanly close. Like I don't want even the tail to be back inside of this wedge. So I have to wait for a new candle. Didn't confirm here. Okay, Dean says SRPT cup and handle still within large green candle. So then large green candle yesterday, so it means bullish for a long. Yeah, I would say so. Definitely favors a move to the upside. This is a small company, but it's so beaten down from its highs. You're talking about $90.30, $90.3% rather. Excuse me. But anyways, Moncool says, hi, Lon, what's up? I just entered a short on Link. Okay, chain link. Can you rate my setup, please? I'll do my best to rate your setup. Let's see. I'll certainly try my best to rate your setup. I like that trend line. It's a pretty good trend line. He drew a trend line from somewhere like this. No. I'm trying to find out and show you guys where he drew his trend line from, so you guys can rate his setup too. Okay, I'm struggling to find this. I like your setup though. My chart is not math is not mathing. But for me, my first like shortable level personally is Pierce at $25 on Chainlink. Keaton says, hi, Lon. Wasn't core CPI harder than expected? Yes. Shouldn't that pull down the markets? Yes. Plus, China banned on NVIDIA chips. China didn't ban NVIDIA chips. They said that they don't want them to purchase from them because 15% of all proceeds from NVIDIA chips are going to the U.S. government. Right? So by Chinese companies buying those H20 chips, they're directly funding the United States government. As funny as that is. Mar says, if I like to be a member of Smart Money Crypto, can I pay with crypto and which ones? We don't have crypto payments enabled yet. That's something that we've certainly discussed and considered doing so in the future, but not currently. Nathan says, hey, Lon, what's up? I'm long on UNG. Do you see a bounce on natural gas in the near future? Let's take a look. Yeah, UNG is kind of getting crushed right now. Yeah, this thing is getting crushed, making new lows. Let's check natural gas. So on natural gas, I have this head and shoulders pattern. With the measured move, and it's finally breaking that down 63%. Now, is natural gas going to fall 63%? No, I don't think so. But, right, can it fall 30%, 25%? Yes, it can. So this is what I see on natural gas. Dino says, how to estimate the win percent if I short the S&P. What do you mean by that? Do you know like how much percent you're looking for or what? Like, here's the thing. When you short something or go long something, I don't care what it is, you always go in with the thesis. And I've talked a lot about this, right? For example, let's go right to natural gas. Let's say you shorted natural gas because you saw this head and shoulders pattern. Okay, what is your thesis? Your thesis is, I think natural gas is going to go down because there's a head and shoulders pattern. Okay, you see that? I have it on my chart. I have the measure move here. And after you create your before I keep yapping, I always forget to do this. Let's do this. Let's turn this into a teachable moment. Man, I always forget about this. Okay. Anyways, here we are. We're in natural gas. Okay. Head and shoulders pattern. My thesis is I'm going to short it because I think it's going to go down. I think it's going to go down because it's breaking the neckline of a head and shoulders pattern. Great. Amazing. But a thesis isn't just it's going down. No, it's going down to where? Why is it going down there? And how is your thesis going to be negated? What would it take for your thesis to get negated? Okay, let's see. So you have this measured move, but I would say that anything, even 50% of that measured move, anything above 50% of that measured move, I'm comfortable taking as like that move is fulfilled. 34% on natural gas, right? Boom. There you go. That's one thing. That's around my target, around a pierce of $2. Let's say that's my target because of the head and shoulders pattern. Second thing, why is it going down? Because of head and shoulders pattern. Third thing, what would it take for me to stop out of this trade and have my thesis negated? There's a couple things that you could do. Personally, there's this, right? If this right shoulder retraces and goes above this previous head, then your thesis is negated, right? If your only reason for getting in this trade is because of the head and shoulders pattern, if natural gas were to negate this head and shoulders by having the right shoulder go above the head, done. It's dead in the water. But that's 78% or higher. You're not going to wait for that, right? You're not going to wait until you're out of the money 78% to stop out, are you? I don't know. But I don't know. But I wouldn't. I wouldn't wait that long. For me, I'm looking at this. Let's say, for example, I'm like, okay, for me personally in this trade, because I'm looking at a gain, I'm looking for a gain of 35%. I'm going to stop out on a loss here about 19% at this gap fill. Okay. And that's where I'd stop out. So I have a trading plan, and it's so important to come up with a plan. My plan is I'm shorting it. Why? Head and shoulders. Okay, target down here. Where do I stop out? On the gap fill. Right? Sarah says, thank you, Lawton. Of course, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah, for your questions. How many factors are best to go long on XLM? How many factors? I mean, the more factors, the better, right? You have this down sloping trend line that it's knocking on. So if you can break above this trend line, that's enough for me. I'd consider going long, and I just put in a stop level, right? Like a stop loss. But additionally, you have this as well. You have a potential, not a great one, right? Not a pretty one. Looks kind of weird. You see this person in the hallway, and you're like, okay. Their head and shoulders look weird, but it's still valid. Inverse head and shoulders pattern. With this measured move would be a measured move up 17%. But look at this. It went up 13% already, above 50% of the measured move. So likely this measured move has already been played out. Okay? I'm going to take this moment to ask you guys to like and subscribe. It really helps the algorithm, helps us know that you're appreciating this type of content. But anyways, back to the questions. Monkel says, hey, Lawton, in all caps, where do you think Ethereum will stop as of current run? Good question. Your guess is as good as mine. Kind of. Ethereum, for me, had this massive inverse head and shoulders pattern. It broke out of, and my measured move was a move 63% up to the $4,500 level. And that's where my target is. But it still has a ways to go. For me, I think it could go up to 48.70 or all the way to new all-time highs. It just depends. Manuel says, I'm considering taking a swing along on SID with an entry price of 134. All right. Can you please take a look at the chart and tell me your thoughts? This is not something I've ever traded before. Not something I would necessarily be too comfortable trading just because it's a smaller stock. Regardless, I can do my best to try and give you some information that hopefully that you can find useful and helpful to you. I have this kind of wedge on SID. I would buy probably on a retrace to the bottom of this trend line. But if you wanted to just get in on a pullback at this gap fill down here at 137, you said 134. Yeah, I think 134 is a fine level to get in. Right. If it were to come down here, and I would target, move to the top of this parallel around 20 cents in the money. This is not something I would trade, though, because it's kind of a smaller market cap. And I don't really like these miners and commodities as much. Okay. Juania says, if I use technical analysis, should I use dollar? What do you mean by that, Juanius? Like for ETH USD, like crypto? I use USDT, but it's essentially the same. Stable coins in theory should be identical to Sam says, hi there. What's up, Sam? Thank you for your support, a lot for your support. Thank you a lot for your questions. Is SLB still going down 10+%? SLB, let's take a look. And I will remind you guys, if you want to have your questions answered, I'd be happy to do so. Just go ahead and scan that QR code down below, or visit the verifiedinvesting.com homepage and click that watch and ask, so you can watch me and ask questions. Without you guys, there would be no me. There's no reason for me to be on. I'm only going to be live for the next 8 minutes, guys. So if you have any super pressing questions, make sure to get them in now, because I'm usually not able to answer everyone's questions. Anyways. SLB, is this still going down? I have this head and shoulders pattern you see here with a measured move down. You're right, about 15%. Do I think it's going to go down that much? Not necessarily, but I'd be comfortable saying it could come down to just a pierce of $31, right? But it's just the chart, right? That's just what I see on the charts. So resistance for SMCI and Tesla. You see my SMCI chart is kind of whack. I'm going to cleanse this for you. I just cleansed your timeline. You're welcome. Congratulations. For me, support, I have a gap fill down here. I'm targeting $42.80. I'd likely take a trade on that there. Gap fill to the upside here. Let's see what else we got. Show me something. Okay, contender. Why did I do that? Okay. We also have this nice upsloping trend line, right? But that's still quite a ways away. But it's kind of sitting in this middle level for me. Resistance is going to be up here at that previous pivot high after earnings. SMCI did not perform well on earnings. So those are my levels of support and resistance. You can take a picture, snap a picture, pause it here, and then resume. But these lines are my lines of support and resistance. Tesla, I did talk about this earlier, but I'd be happy to do so again. Tesla, you have my chart here. I think it needs to close above this and not even come into that at all for me to be comfortable. What else we got? Ed saying, "Hi, Lon. What's up, Ed? Hope you're doing well. Thanks for your question. Thanks for being here." Is $338 a good entry long on Tesla, or would I wait for confirmation above yesterday's high? Not financial advice, of course. I think it's fine, to be honest. Even a retrace like 334, you just stop out. Like you stop out at this gap fill on a close below this gap fill, probably 329. That's what I would do. Right? Not financial advice. It's just what I would do. You probably shouldn't do what I do, but I'm just giving you the probabilities. Mar says, haha back. Mar saying, what is the first possibility you see on Solana? Let's take a look. Solana. I got a lot of things going on. I got to reset, got to cleanse every once in a while. So on Solana, you have a potential inverse head and shoulders. Not the best one, right? Like, I guess you could consider this one kind of, right? Not the best one, but it's still technically valid, right? Let's see what that measured move would be on Solana. I know they came out with their cell phone a couple weeks back. I think we talked about it here. 19%. Up 19% would be that measured move. What else do I have on Solana? Let's take a look. As far as levels of support and resistance, okay. Amazing. Level of resistance there. Boom, boom, boom. I like that level. That's exactly where it pulled back from. Yeah, I think on Solana, if you want to go long, you could play this inverse head and shoulders pattern. It's a measured move up 19%. So enter long. If it comes down, you can stop out basically below here, down here. So you're risking 6.5% to make 19%. Ed's saying, is there a level you consider going long for a swing trade on TTD? TTD absolutely destroyed. Beaten down, wondering if a pullback in the market will take it to the 52-week low. Yeah, for me, this thing is no bueno. Has not had an easy time. I'm slowly deleting all this. Sorry, it's going to bother me if I don't. TTD, these are my levels. These are my levels to go long. 50, basically under 49, 47.50, and then just under $43, that 52-week low that you were talking about previously. But these are my levels on TTD to go long for a bounce. All right, guys. I have a minute left. So if you have any final questions in the last minute, I can answer them. I'm trying to do better about not staying on too late, because if I stay on too late, that means I don't eat lunch. And if I don't eat lunch, that means I get junk food on the way home. And if I eat junk food on the way home, then I'm not as good at the sports I play. But anyways, Brewski, thanks for being here. Thank you for being here. You're welcome. Even though you didn't ask a question today, I appreciate you being here anyways and viewing. But I guess we can kind of close up here. But again, guys, thank you so much for watching. My name is Lawton Ho, here with Verified Investing. I do this every day from 12:30 to 1:15. If you have any more questions that you can think of, you can feel free to send them to me on Twitter at Lawton Investing. That's my Twitter handle, is just Lawton followed by the word investing. I'd really appreciate it if you liked it and subscribe to us on YouTube at Verified Investing. It makes the world a world of difference to us. But anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Best of luck trading in these markets, guys. Yeah, thanks to Ed and Raydell. Have a great day, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. Bye, guys.